Hello everyone. I thought today I would do a very quick, hopefully, and me, I ramble quite a lot. Hopefully a very quick overview of my mental health story. I might go into a more detailed exploration of some of the things I've learned afterwards in other videos, but I am really incredibly passionate about spreading awareness of mental health and being open and honest about the things I've gone through in my life, because it's how I deal with things, but it's also how I feel like eventually, maybe one day, if enough people start candidly talking about mental health and struggling and the various things that I've gone through in my life, maybe we will decrease the stigma a bit and make it so that it feels like people can talk about it and not feel ashamed. You will probably know from the first ever sort of get to know me video that I did that I am the eldest child of there's four of us, and I love all of my siblings dearly. We're really close. I spent the majority of my life in Wales, and in case anyone hadn't already figured it out, I'm a huge nerd. I am like a huge nerd. Like the things that bring me joy are organizing things, writing things, researching, and music and songwriting. Nerd. I'm currently a student at UCL. I'm studying a master's in arts and science, something that we on the course fondly call a mask, but I'm doing my mask in creative health. So we're looking at how we can use the arts to improve people's well-being, looking at concepts around social prescribing, using arts to like improve mental health, working with people living with dementia, accessibility in the arts, funding, all of that kind of fun stuff. It's a really interesting course and I'm mostly enjoying a lot of it. I also have a performance arts background. I'm trained in applied theatre, so kind of, I think I probably mentioned in my first video, looking at how we use performing arts in non-traditional theatre settings, anywhere that's not got a formal stage, community settings, streets, that kind of stuff. And before I started my master's at UCL this academic year, so in September last year, I was studying with the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama, doing their bachelor's degree in drama, applied theatre and education. Bit of a mouthful, I know, but we vibe with it. And I think that was kind of where my understanding of arts and health really started, as well as where the majority of my mental health, like severe mental health struggles, also started and sort of ended. My mental health story, I would imagine, began 16, 17-ish. I got diagnosed with both depression and anxiety around that time. I think the anxiety diagnosis is definitely correct. I still have a lot of anxiety, still have panic attacks, still have like a lot of issues with that side of things. So that is definitely correct. However, I think the depression that I got diagnosed with was misdiagnosed with autistic burnout, and then the burnout led into depression. By the time I was 17, I was in a really iffy relationship, nothing like sexual or romantic, just a really iffy, boundaryless relationship with the first of two tutors this ended up happening with. Her name is Sarah, and that is her actual name because I'm done letting this woman have power over me. So, but yeah, I was 17 when my mental health kind of really picked up, however you want to phrase it. I started self-harming around that time. I also stopped eating because I was like super stressed. I was going through burnout. I was having really, really bad panic attacks. It was around then that I noticed that I started dissociating. But I think I've kind of done the dissociation coping strategy my entire life. It's how I've dealt with traumatic events. I don't think there's anything more to that. But who knows? My brain is a mystery. And yeah, as a result of kind of a lot of the things that happened between Sarah and I at college, and also just the college environment in general, yeah, I ended up having a lot of trauma and a lot of trust issues and a lot of shame. And I never really spoke to anyone about my mental health. I did speak to Sarah about it, but she only ever kind of helped me when it was something that would benefit her. So I never really got enough help and support when I was at college, and I wasn't believed when I said that I was struggling at college. And yeah, throughout like the next couple of years, I was in and out of like really bad depressive states. I was suicidal for an extended period of time. it was not fun, and I started my BA having moved to London for the first time, and my mental health kind of stabilized a little bit, but it also, yeah, really didn't, it didn't really get any better. It just kind of stayed fairly stagnant, and I was still self-harming on and off. I was still doing a lot of really self-destructive behaviors. I was trying to push people away. I wasn't opening up to my tutors. I wasn't being honest with myself that I was struggling, and I don't think I was honest with myself about how severely I was struggling with life in general and the stresses that I was facing, until I ended up in hospital towards the end of 2020 after 2 separate suicide attempts, and seeing the effect that that had had on my family, and seeing how much it had impacted the people that I loved. I lost a lot of friends over this, which again gave me more trauma to deal with because I didn't have enough at the time. I think, yeah, that period of my life was a really like massive wake-up call for me, and I just got to a point where I was like, this isn't the road that I want to stay on. I want to have a future where I'm happy and I'm healthy and I feel like I'm okay in myself, and I don't keep doing these things that I keep doing. I want a reason for why I'm doing this, so I put myself in therapy. I'm still in therapy to this day. I spoke to my therapist earlier this morning when I'm filming this, and he is amazing. I've been with him since 2020, so it's been a long time. We wanted to, but my mental health recovery has been like completely all over the place. After the suicide attempts, I was okay for a bit. I moved back down to Wales, lived with my family, started working with one of my lecturers at the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama, who I won't name drop because she's in the same arts and health circle as I am. But yeah, she wasn't a good person for me at that time. And our entire relationship was built upon me conforming. That was it. That's the word. There we go. Conforming to her expectations of me and doing the things that she wanted when she wanted them, which is eerily similar to the relationship that I had with Sarah when I was in college. But yeah, that fell apart right at the start of when I started this master's course, when I'd found new tutors and new people and knew like no one, and that shook me. But I didn't break, and I think that is testament to how far I have come, because if that had happened when I was 16 or even when I was 19, it would have completely destroyed me. And yeah, I think my trauma for like the longest time has really meant that I don't, or at least didn't, trust people. Like I was kind of saying earlier, I didn't open up to any of my tutors before I got to UCL. Things have changed, and I hid things and I pushed people away. I kept people at a very safe distance and didn't really let them see me when I was vulnerable. And my friend Molly, who I have an organisation, Creative Comfort, with, was the first person that I think I was truly vulnerable with. And she's amazing. She's a massive part of my support system, and I'm forever eternally grateful that I have this woman in my life, because we just make the most amazing team, and I'm very excited for what we're going to be doing with our organisation in the future. But I think some of the lessons that I've learned over the last, gosh, it's been like, what, 6 years now that my mental health journey has been kind of going on. And it's just, yeah, being open and being honest and just being completely truthful with people is so important to me, because it keeps me not only grounded within myself and in touch with how I'm doing, and make sure that I'm in tune as much as I can be. I have really bad interoception, which is the ability to like recognize emotions and what your body needs. But as much as I can be, I try and kind of keep aware of how I'm feeling on a day-to-day basis. I'm very honest with my lecturers now, and like if I'm having a bad day, I will say to them if they ask me how I am. Una and Jack, they're just fantastic, and they're a massive part of my university support system. And they also made me realize that I really need to be surrounded by people who understand that my bad days, when I'm dissociating, when I'm dealing with trauma triggers, when I'm really anxious, when I'm shutting down and hiding, my bad days don't define me. They don't define what I can do, what I will go on to do, what I'm doing at that moment. It doesn't define me as a person. It's just I'm having a bad day and I've got a lot to deal with. And it wasn't until I met Jack and Luna and opened up to them about some of the stuff that I was going through that they truly kind of showed me that they get it, that, you know, I'm still me, that they don't really care that I'm neurodiverse in the best way possible, and they don't mind that I've got a trauma background and that sometimes I'm really mistrustful of them, because they understand where it comes from. But my support system at uni, Luna and Jack, and my amazing cohort of peers are a massive part of where I feel like I've started to learn to be open. I'm learning at the moment that it's okay not to be happy all the time. I don't like it. And that's just because my emotions are very strong when I do finally recognize them. And it becomes quite overwhelming quite quickly. And I don't like feeling out of control. I'm learning that panic attacks are okay. They're, again, not fun, but I'm learning how to deal with them. And I'm learning that if I'm in sensory overload, I need to not sit in a concert and try and just make do and mends like I did with Luna and my two friends, Alana and Fran, like 2 weeks ago. But I'm learning, I still make mistakes, and I still make a lot of mistakes. But I think the biggest thing that I've learned, and I wish I could kind of say to anyone else who's maybe struggling with things, is that my mental health story and my past doesn't have to define my future, the things that I can do, or how I perceive myself, or even how others will perceive me, because there is more to me than my mental health. And I think I'm a lot stronger for having to fight really hard for the things that I've done and recognizing my own achievements and all of that. And the biggest thing is that I've learned that asking for help is actually okay, that the world doesn't collapse around your feet. And if you've done it with the person that you trust, like with me and Luna and Jack, if they're people that you trust and they're people that you respect, and you know deep down that they're going to be okay with it, being honest and being like, hey, I'm struggling with this, even if it's, in my case, just being like, I don't understand what this assessment is, can someone re-explain it to me, because it's not in a language that my neurodiverse brain can understand. That's perfectly fine. There's no point struggling by yourself. And I think that is really applicable to my own mental health as well. I think kind of going forward, I know that I have plans to do a PhD, probably looking at the benefits of cognitive stimulation therapy involving museum object handling for people living with dementia. Really long title, doing a very interesting project about it at the moment and really enjoying it. As I mentioned earlier, I've got my own arts and health organisation, and I'm hoping that we're going to be getting some funding at some point soon to do mental health projects with young people in mental health wards, and doing something that is fun and engaging and exciting for them. But I think my dream for the future, and I kind of touched on this right at the start, is that I just want to see a future where mental health is destigmatized, where people talk about it openly, and where it isn't this massive thing where you have to disclose to someone that you're struggling, that you can just go, hey, I'm struggling, and people go, okay, what can I do to help, if they're able to assist. And I think the only way that we're ever going to get to a point where society is okay with this is by speaking about it, is by being honest about our own struggles, our own needs, our own expectations, our own pasts, and all of this other stuff. And I think I've become more and more passionate about that as time's kind of gone on, and I've been involved in a couple of projects where I've spoken about my mental health. So I thought it was a good time to kind of share it on YouTube, in a very rambly, slightly elongated fashion. So yeah, that is where I am at the moment. I have a few months left of this master's course, and I'm going to make the most of it. And yeah, if anyone has any other questions, any other things that you want to know, like whack them in the comments. I can do other videos talking about my experiences of things. If you want to know more about what it's like being autistic or anxiety, or how I deal with anything, literally ask. If it's something I'm not comfortable answering, I will say as much. Otherwise, you will get my honest opinion about something. And I'm always down for kind of, I don't know, assisting with things and talking. I like talking, in case people hadn't realised. So yeah, I think that's where we're at in this video today. Like I said, leave any comments. If you want to like the video and subscribe, now I sound like a YouTuber, you can obviously do that, but there is like no pressure. It's totally chill. Me and my little cow jumper will just exist in this little space. So yeah, I will see you all in the next video, where I will likely be doing more singing stuff.